Hello folks, let's get you updated. Last week was a mess, to put it simply. I was ill, so there were a few days where I just wasn't really up to snuff. I wasn't running the distances that I had planned. I wasn't really eating enough because I didn't have any appetite. And yeah, not great, but I did manage to get a little bit of running in the earlier part of the week. And then on the Friday, I just got slammed with some horrific depression. I couldn't leave the house. I was scared to go outside. I was that anxious and overwhelmed. So I had to bail on my long run. And I didn't go to staff training either, which is what I was supposed to be doing that day. So I didn't go anywhere that day really. I couldn't get myself to leave the house. It was a bit scary. I did record stuff last week, but it was so disjointed and chaotic. And when I tried to sort of record the aftermath of Friday, I just couldn't get the emotion out of my voice. I couldn't control my voice very well, so it's not nice footage to watch because I look like I'm about to cry. So I didn't really want to make people watch that because it's not, obviously it's helpful to know that people have low points and that everything's not hunky-dory all the time, but that would have been, just the footage was too difficult to watch. So I didn't really want to subject anyone to that. So yeah, there was no video last week. So it's Wednesday now. I'm just having to be a little bit more flexible about exactly how I'm approaching the filming because I'm still not good. I'm just very overwhelmed, which is maybe my fault for trying to start a business up at the same time that Christmas is looming and I'm training for a mountain marathon. So this week, because I didn't really do it properly last week and you didn't get a video, I will talk a bit about food this week. I have a relatively regimented structure when it comes to eating. So on Mondays and Wednesdays when I do my workout runs, so I did a trail tempo this Monday, and this morning I've done a long hill rep session of 3+ minute hill reps. On the days I do my workout runs, I also do my lift. So Monday I'll do a lifting session later in the day, and then today I'll be doing a lifting session a little bit later. On those days, my breakfast is always a bowl of porridge, which has 50 grams of oats, between 10 and 15 grams of chia seeds in. I put some frozen blueberries in there, half an apple or an apple, depending on the size of the apple, and soy milk. Sometimes I put desiccated coconut in and a bit of cinnamon, but that's one half of Monday and Wednesday breakfast, and the other half is a bagel with peanut butter and sometimes Marmite on it, sometimes half a banana. It depends exactly what I've got kicking around, I suppose, and what I feel like having, but that is always my breakfast on Mondays and Wednesdays. It might vary a little bit when summer comes around. I'll probably have overnight oats instead of porridge, but that's pretty much it. It doesn't change. I'm at home a little bit more at the minute because I'm winding down my shifts at my current job prior to sort of switching to freelance. So lunch varies wildly. It can be all manner of things. It's often noodles. I'll make ramen, quick ramen from scratch, sometimes using just some noodles and some miso paste, stock cube, and chuck some tofu and stuff in there. Sometimes I use packet ramen if I'm wanting to treat myself, and that'll usually involve I'll stick some mussels and usually seaweed and stuff and some cabbage in there. That's fairly common. I do also often, if I'm really lazy, have just meatless sausage or meatless nuggets or something with some potato waffles and beans. That's quite common. If I've planned very poorly, it will be an egg, fried egg sandwich. That doesn't happen too often, thankfully, but that's my backup emergency lunch when I've just realised I haven't actually got anything sorted out at all. So that's sort of how lunch looks. In terms of evening meals, we have fish twice a week, which can come in all kinds of shapes and forms. Last night, Tuesday night, is usually a fish night, and we had fish cakes. So I put tinned salmon and some defrosted fish fillets in with a bunch of potato and pepper and stuff, and then fried that and steamed some broccoli, and that was it. It was pretty simple but very filling. I do often do baked whole fish with Indian spices and stuff, which works really well. I'm getting pretty good at making that. I do need to expand my repertoire a little bit though, because if we're just having sort of fish cakes and baked fish all the time, it gets a little bit boring. But yeah, I do curries quite a bit. I like Indian food a lot, so I will do fish curries, which works really well and it's easy to do and it's nutritious. On the other evenings of the week, pretty common are just like baked potatoes or soups. I do soups quite a bit, particularly in the winter at the minute. Big like vegetable stews with loads of lentils and stuff in, as well as vegetables, so that works really nicely. And yeah, bean stews, we do a lot of bean stews, and bean soups work really well. Burritos are a pretty solid one for batch cooking for the week as well, because you can make a pan of burrito rice and then just have that ready to scoop into a wrap and take it with you anywhere you need to go. So that's pretty much what the week's food looks like. We do cheat a little bit. Sometimes we'll have pizza on Sundays, usually because we have a Dungeons and Dragons session on Sunday evenings, so it helps to just be able to bung a pizza in the oven. So that's kind of our main cheat meal of the week. And then in terms of snacks, I try and have a couple of snacks a day. In the mornings while I'm prepping breakfast, I will try and eat a Brazil nut, because that just gives me my entire daily requirement of selenium. I try and have pumpkin seeds fairly regularly because they're very high in zinc. And usually after my evening meal, sometimes after my lunch, I'll have some soy yogurt with like couple of squares of dark chocolate in, and I'm talking like 70% plus dark chocolate. So that's kind of like a sort of, it's usually more a pudding than a snack really, but I tend to find the dark chocolate is really good to have because it's very high in iron, it's very high fat content, so it keeps you quite satiated, and also got good zinc content. In terms of supplements, it's pretty simple. On the days where I'm lifting, I will often have a protein shake. So that's just one scoop of the Protein Works, one of the Protein Works vegan powders. I think I've got like a chocolate flavoured one at the minute. So just one scoop of that, that's about 20 grams of protein, just to boost it up on the days where I'm doing like the most work, because trying to get that amount of food into my body is quite challenging and a bit stressful sometimes. So sometimes it's easier to do it in a protein shake just to boost it up above the amount that I'm after. Before my harder efforts, so before my hard runs on Mondays and Wednesdays, I have started using a vegan BCAA, that's a branched chain amino acid. It's not necessary for most people. If you're female, it's worth having something with protein in it before a hard effort. So if you're female, you obviously have a fluctuating hormonal cycle over the course of any 1 month, and when you're in the sort of 2 weeks leading up to your period, your progesterone levels are higher, and what effect that has on you as an athlete is that your muscles break down more easily and they're harder to maintain. So having additional protein, particularly before and after a workout, is quite helpful. For guys, it's not really that complicated. You can just, as long as you get like the amount of protein that you probably need to sustain your training, if you get that over the course of any given day, then you'll be fine. But if you're female, it's probably worth just getting a little bit of protein in before a workout, and definitely getting some in kind of within an hour of a workout. It's helpful. So I have started trying to be a bit more mindful of that, and then before my harder efforts, I usually mix the BCAA in with an electrolyte powder. So I use Active Root for my electrolyte powder. I just get all my protein stuff from the Protein Works because it's easy and not that expensive, so it's just easier to do it that way. But I like Active Root as a company. They're quite good I use their gel powders when I'm on my long runs sometimes, and it's just like natural ingredients, and it's mostly ginger based, which is quite good for keeping your stomach settled. So I mix the electrolyte in with the BCAA powder and just have like that about half an hour before I head out for a hard effort. In terms of training, obviously last week was a bit of a write-off in some senses. I probably just needed the physical recovery time. I did run about 40 kilometers total, which was a lot less than I had on the plan. It was more like 70 on the plan, and missing the long run obviously didn't help that. But this week I've adjusted the mileage ramp, so I'm going to try and do 70 this week, see how we feel, and then let the ramp up be a little bit slower after this week. I'm feeling a lot better. Monday's run was really good. I did like a trail run with a tempo effort in, and that went quite well. It was much nicer than the kind of flat tempo runs I was doing. I probably will still do some flat tempo runs, but like once a month at most. I'll probably have to do one next Monday because it's Boxing Day and I will not be in Sheffield. I'll be in Newark, so I'll have to find somewhere that's probably flat to run because there aren't any hills in Newark. This morning's hill reps felt a bit sluggish. I felt quite bouncy on the rest of the run. My legs felt quite good, but it was a little bit difficult to get the oomph out of my legs for the hill reps themselves. And I suspect that's just because I haven't done hill reps for 2 weeks. And it's just me waking my legs back up to the idea of doing them, really. So that's probably all it is. Rest of the plan for this week, I won't be running tomorrow because that's sort of my running rest day. And then the plan is to do 24 kilometers on Friday with high elevation gain. That's the plan. So I'm going to basically run around a bit of the Kinder Plateau, like up and down the edge of it several times to get the elevation gain, because next week we'll be in Scotland and I'll be planning to do a really long run in the Ochils. Hopefully it might end up being the Pentland Hills, one of the two. It'll either be the Ochils or the Pentlands. We'll see. I might have to plan 2 separate runs and then just see where we end up. But that's going to be like a 26 kilometer run, so it's a little bit intimidating. Anyway, I've rambled enough. So yeah, long run Friday, and then on the weekend I think I've got like an 8 kilometer and a 10 kilometer easy run. It's something like that. And that's kind of how I do my long runs on the Fridays, and the weekends are a lot more chill at the minute. But yeah, I've rambled enough. So next bit of footage will probably be from Friday's long run. Good morning, Beans. I'm on my long run. I'm less than 2k into it at the minute. And as you can see, the visibility is non-existent. So I'm gonna wiggle up and down off the Kinder Plateau, and I'm gonna start my ascent up onto the plateau via Jaggers Club. I've never been up there before, so that'll be interesting. I'm just aiming to take it fairly easy. I'm kind of hoping I can do it in a bit less than 4 hours, but it's 24 kilometers with 1,400 meters of elevation gain, so I'm anticipating that it'll be really slow. Very slow going up here. It's very damp, and the ground's very squishy and rocky. So it's all good training though. All good training. Down off Brian's Low Knoll. A bit better in the valley. It is obviously still raining though. Just heading down into Edale. Just debating whether I might see if the Nag's Head's open and warm up for a few minutes. And then carry on. Can't really feel my hands, so that's exciting. But we're down into the valley now, so there's not really any wind, and it's not quite as cold as it was up the top. It's probably not going to be that much interesting to see for the rest of the run, so I'm just going to basically make my way along to the bottom of the valley, back to the car, which is near Lady Bower. So I'll probably leave it here, to be honest. If I see anything super exciting, I'll let you know.